Republican presidential candidates say they're not going to take another debate like last week's on CNBC. They met over the weekend to discuss debates going forward, and they aren't pleased with the Republican National Committee. CBN News chief political correspondent David Brody joins us to discuss the candidates' big meeting and what it means for them and the party. David, first of all, how big of a deal is it that the candidates met on Sunday?
It's a huge deal. It's really unprecedented, Lori. And look, here's what's going on. Let's just kind of boil it all down. These candidates are not only sick and tired of the liberal mainstream media. We know this. That's been the case for a long time now. They're now starting to get sick of the Republican National Committee, folks that put these debates together and let CNBC actually host a debate. And they're going, what in the world did we get ourselves into? And so basically the upshot of all of this is that all of these campaigns now, what they're going to do is not only draft a letter to each network saying, look, here's the way we want this debate to go, but they're going to actually get on a conference call with each network and say, this is how we want the debate to go. And they're going to leave the Republican National Committee out of it. Now, will the Republican National Committee have some sort of influence on the side? Sure, they will to a degree. But for the most part, they're being left a bystander here.
So are they essentially saying, admitting to the world at large that their own party is out of touch with them?
I think some people will draw that conclusion. I wouldn't go that far, because when you say, are they out of touch with their party? Well, you know, the RNC is, once again, let's remember what the RNC's job here is, and that is to win elections. And so there's a difference between what the Republican National Committee is trying to do and indeed what the larger Republican Party is trying to do, which of course is made up of constitutional conservatives and establishment conservatives and everybody in between. So it's a little bit murky.
What about the huge number of candidates still in the race? Does this add to the problem?
It does. And as a matter of fact, it's unclear, especially after that meeting Sunday night, exactly what's going to go on with these undercard candidates. Many people have called them the lower tier candidates. Look, these lower tier candidates, their campaigns were at that meeting Sunday night in Washington, D.C., and they want, obviously, a play or some sort of say at the big boy table, the adult table. And there was some agreement in the room that they should have more of a say, for sure. So there is an unsettled feeling right now as to exactly how that's going to play out, whether or not it's going to be 7 candidates and then another 7 candidates, and to have everybody kind of mix and match the undercard and the adult table. All of this still has to be figured out. It's a wild scenario, Lori.
And it's true, with all the different candidates, they all have competing interests. I mean, they're really still looking out for number one, even when it comes to the other candidates.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. And so that's why you have so many competing interests here as to what do you exactly do. And, you know, now I will say this, there has been some agreement, at least within the campaigns themselves, as to certain things they don't want to see in some of these next debates. For example, and I have the whole long list here and I won't read all of it, but they don't want any, quote, gotcha questions. In other words, they don't want the old candidate raising your hand, will you do this, you know, the oath question. They don't want any lightning rounds where you have to answer something within 10 seconds and move on. They think that's too gimmicky. And so there's a whole list of things that they don't want. What they do want, though, is still up for debate. I will say this, one thing the campaigns definitely do want is for sure, at least a 30-second opening statement, a 30-second closing statement. After that, I think it's all on the table.
No more. What's your greatest weakness?
Right.
Oh, that was amazing. Well, looking at the big picture here, is this hurting or helping Republican chances at the White House?
You know, that's really hard to say. There's a couple ways to think about this, and I think there's arguments on both sides. You know, I would just say this, that one of the concerns going forward here is that there are a lot of rules and regulations that the Republicans want. In other words, these campaigns, what they want. And the danger here is that, look, if they're going to start dictating the terms to the networks, then you're going to have a free press, a liberal mainstream media press that already is antagonistic towards Republicans, start to craft a story storyline that Republicans can't take the heat. They can't figure things out on their own, and they're just running scared. And so you can expect that storyline. So it's not going to hurt. It's not going to help them with the headlines at all. But then again, when were they ever getting positive headlines? So, who knows?
That's true. David Brody, as always, thanks for your insight.
Thanks, Lori.